tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, Madeline Ward Freeman, aka Boss Lady.
Boss Lady.
And I have my beautiful co-host, the Diva, Vicky Travis Wood, CEO and founder of Developing Intellectual Vision and Self.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a new title.
What's your new title?
Dr. Diva.
Dr.
We'll talk
Diva.
about that later.
All righty. We thank you all for tuning in on IntellectualRadio.com and hanging out in the den with us on this morning. We also are an iHeart radio station. I tell you, we have something for everybody on Intellectual Radio. Today, we will be talking about domestic violence. And if you don't know, this month is Domestic Violence and Breast Cancer Awareness. And our special guest is Valerie Davis, who will share her story with us today in the second part of our show. And I first of all want to say thank you, because it's not easy for people to talk about what goes on in their house and their relationships, especially when it's not as positive. Personal stuff, yes. So we will be talking with her in the second half. But before we get started, it's a whole lot going on today. First of all, I want to say Happy Sweetest Day.
Yay!
Happy to all of you wonderful people. And if you don't have a sweetie, I'll be your sweetie for today. It's raining and glooming outside, but the sun is still shining within. The other thing is, great minds think alike. So if you have noticed, both of us have on the same shirt and it says fight. This was not planned. None whatsoever. We didn't talk about it.
I don't talk to her during the weekday.
But we are definitely connected and we're on the same page. So we are fighting for our survivors. We're celebrating them today. And I want to send a shout out to Val Cancer Slayers. Val is one of our cousins who is a survivor of breast cancer.
Yes, she is.
And she is walking with her team today, the Slayers. They're going to be slaying in this rain for breast cancer awareness in Park Ridge. So we wish we were able to be there, but we are there in spirit and we support you, lovely ladies. The other thing I want to give a shout out to is our big cousin, Lavinia Clark, is getting married on today, and she's going to marry this wonderful gentleman, Ronnie Mack, who we so love because he gives her nothing but love. He showers her with love. His actions are so amazing. I cannot wait this evening to celebrate the love that they have for each other in this union, and I wish them many, many, many more years of happiness.
Yes.
And go Cubbies. If you are a Cubs fan, if you live in the city of Chicago and you're not a Cubs fan, oh well. But it is going on in Wrigleyville this evening. So we want to fly the W for the win for our Cubbies, giving them love. I am going to have the Diva share some information about breast cancer awareness. Sometimes people don't understand that men also can be diagnosed. 2,100 men are diagnosed a year.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you share it since you're sharing it. Go ahead and
2,100 men are diagnosed a year. Men do have breasts, but not as much tissue as women. Therefore, it is possible for them to have breast cancer. Men risk in breast cancer is 1 in 1,000. 65% of men know nothing about male breast cancer. So as we are educating the women, we want to educate you men as well. And I am going to have the Diva share some more stats and also what's going on in the world of Divas Inc. for the rest of this year.
Well, good morning, everyone. As you are aware, this month is the month of pink, and we are gearing up in full throttle for our 5th annual Pretty in Pink Affair, Saturday, October 29th, 2016, from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Crystal Sky Banquet Hall. Tickets are $50 and can be purchased online through Eventbrite on the Pretty in Pink Affair. You can also go to our website, click on the button, and it will take you to order your tickets. Last but not least, you can get a paper ticket from one of your local divas. You can visit our website, our Facebook page, Divas Den, Developing Intellectual Visions and Self. And you can call us at 1-855-462-3482 for more information.
I definitely want to share with you. You don't want to miss this event. I am the host with the mostest for this event, and it is. I love having the people and getting people engaged. It is near and dear to our hearts. And I know last year we had to turn people away because people waited to the last minute to get their tickets. So get your tickets, please. We want you to be there. Year after year, we end up selling out this event. It is a great time. You will be educated. You will hear great music. You will have the opportunity to dance. We have a performance for you. So get your tickets.
And a reminder, this is not a pay at the door type of event. You have to have purchased your ticket. For our junior divas today, there will be no workshop. They will join us for a night of celebration at the Pretty in Pink Affair. And I can't wait to see them all dressed up in their pink.
Yes.
Okay. WASV. If you are my friend on Facebook, you have seen this acronym just being slightly thrown out. It's Women Against Street Violence. Divas Inc., along with T.O. Hardiman of Voice of Violence Interrupters, have put together a distinctive panel of women against street violence and will be hosting an afternoon of support, comfort, storytelling, in effect to show our concern for women who have dealt with losing a family member to street violence. Please support our effort in reaching out to our sisters in their time of need. The admission fee will be $10, which will include a complimentary lunch. This event is scheduled to take place Saturday, December 3rd, 2016, from 12 noon till 2:30 p.m. at the Salvation Army Freedom Center, 825 North Christiana. Please come to this event. It is a much needed event. And we're going to talk briefly just a little bit about women against street violence. And it has really taken a toll on a lot of women. You know, losing your child because someone is out committing those such acts as shooting and stabbing or whatever it is.
Yes.
You know, that's kind of hard to deal with. And I have a few friends who have lost their child due to unnecessary street violence. Not just any street violence, but unnecessary street violence. And, you know, if you have a child, your child is your heart. You try to guard and protect them. You do not want to see them just laying on the street with a bullet hole in them, dying, because someone has mistaken them for someone else or can't aim at who they're really shooting at.
Because we have amateurs out there shooting for no reason. And actually, why don't you share your story on the way that you shared with me?
Oh, well, Wednesday, the diva was almost a statistic. Got caught in between a drive-by that happened on Lawler and Division. It happened in a twinkle of an eye. And I looked up and caught myself in the crossfire. It was, you know, I can't even just describe how I felt, but I'm just thanking God that I'm still here.
Yes, definitely.
And it is that saying being at the wrong place at the wrong time. That is not so. I was at the right place at the right time. People, we just got to get it together. There were over 36 shell casings found, and only one person hit one time.
Wow. Well, this is definitely an event that I'm looking to be a part of. I'm actually going to be one of the panelists talking about my own experience, and we will share more to come in regards to it. So please come out and support, because everything that we do, or Divas Inc. does, we are here to help the community, and we want to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And so we want to have these panels where we are bringing people together to have discussions and trying to give people some type of closure or some type of help, or comfort during their time of need. So please come out and support.
Yes. Last on our list of reporting events is our annual Christmas dinner with the residents of Deborah's Place. Deborah's Place is Chicago's largest provider of supporting housing for single women experiencing homelessness. They open doors to housing, healing, and hope. Deborah Place makes a difference in the lives of more than 300 women each year. Their service is vital. It gives women the key to recovering from the trauma of homelessness. Tuesday, December 20th, 2016, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., Divas Inc. would do our part in making the healing and hoping process a little bit better. We'll provide a home-cooked Christmas dinner with all the trimmings to over more than 80 women. This will take place at 2822 West Jackson Boulevard. We will be soliciting for food donations soon. Please check Divas Den Facebook page, Developing Intellectual Visions and Self Facebook page, and our website, diva-inc.org for more information.
Well, I am definitely going to be reaching out to family members and friends. Every year, it is a huge success. We feed almost 100 women at Deborah's Place. This is another event that is very dear to our hearts because we are helping women who need assistance, and they really appreciate it. So those cooks, we need people to donate their time. We also need some men to help with
unloading and loading.
Exactly, and helping to serve the women as well. So we will reach out to you all, and I hope those of you who have helped us in the past come out to assist, as well as some newcomers.
And if you cannot assist with helping, just come out anyway and sit down and talk with these ladies. You'll find that their story is very interesting. You know, they're not homeless because they want to be homeless.
Right.
Definitely. Something had or has happened, and they enjoy our company. So support them by supporting us.
Definitely. And I want to touch on one other thing. Loretta Hospital, on our way in to the station today, I saw that Loretta Hospital, that's the Eisenhower, we come down, right?
290.
Well, I'm not the driver. So anyway, Loretta Hospital has mammograms for $50. So if you don't have insurance, there are facilities, and there are places where you can go and for a small fee, so you can ensure that you have that service of having your mammograms done and taken care of. You need to get yourself checked out. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, once a year at least. And women, if you're up there in age, but it affects all ages, but it's important that you have this done. And men.
And believe it or not, Loretta Hospital has been a supporter for Divas Inc. for the last 5 years for our Pretty in Pink. They do give us 2 free mammograms to raffle off. They've been doing it for the past 5 years.
Great. Can you share your statistics with us, and then we'll go to break and bring Valerie Davis
into this.
Yes,
thank you very much.
I'm excited.
The month of October has been known for breast cancer awareness. In the U.S., a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer every 3 minutes, and breast cancer affects 1 in 8 women worldwide. Men, you too must be concerned about breast cancer because the boss lady has already read those statistics out. Now, this brings me to another topic that has been dedicated to the month of October, and that is domestic violence. What is domestic violence? Well, domestic violence is a violent confrontation between family or household members involving physical harm, sexual assault, or fear of physical harm. Family and household members, including spouses, former spouses, those in or formerly in a dating relationship, adult-related blood or marriage, and those who have a biological or legal parent-child relationship. The batterer uses acts of violence and a series of behaviors, including intimidation, threats, psychological abuse, isolation to coerce or to control the other person. The violence may not happen often, but may remain a hidden and constant terrorizing factor. Domestic violence is not only physical or sexual violence, but is also psychological. Domestic violence destroys the home, No one deserves to be abused. The responsibility for the violence belongs to the abuser, and it is not the victim's fault at all. Now, here's some facts. Did you know that domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women between the ages of 15 and 45 years old in the United States? So that's more than car accidents, muggings, and rapes combined.
Wow.
3 to 4 million women in the United States are beaten in their homes each year by their husbands, ex-husbands, or male lovers. 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. Here are some systems of abuse: misuse of power and control, using physical or sexual abuse. It's just like someone pulling your hair, biting you, shaking you, pushing, pinching, choking, kicking, confinement, slapping, hitting, punching, forced intercourse, unwanted sexual touching in public or in private, or depriving from food or sleep. Emotional abuse, insulting her in public or private, putting down friends and family, making a person feel bad about themselves, calling them names, and making them think that they're crazy, playing mind games. Economic abuse, which I didn't know anything about, preventing the person from getting or keeping a job, making them ask for money, giving them an allowance, taking the money, not letting them know about or have access to family income, not allowing them to have a voice in important financial decisions, demanding exclusive control over household finances, using coerce and threats, making or carrying out threats to do something to that person, threatening to leave, threatening to report them to different agencies that, as far if a person is on Section 8, threatening to, support to report them to that agency, and just making them do illegal things. Intimidation, making them afraid by using looks, gestures, or actions, throwing or smashing things, destroying property, dangerously driving, and displaying weapons, using the children, making a person feel guilty about the children, using the children to relay messages, using visitations to harass the person, and threatening to take the children away. Isolation, controlling what the person does, who they see, what they read, and where they go, limiting the outside environment, refusing to let them learn to drive, go to school, or get a job, and not allowing them to freely use the car or the phone. Then there's using jealousy and blame to justify actions, making light of abuse and not taking the concerns absolutely seriously, accusing the person of infidelity, saying that the abuse doesn't happen. Why get help? Because the danger is real. It's really real. The warning signs and learning the warning signs. Disagreement develops from time to time in a relationship. Domestic violence is not a disagreement. It is a whole pattern of behaviors used by one partner to establish and maintain power and control over the other. These behaviors can become more frequent and intense over time. So, ladies, don't suffer in silence.
And one of the things I'm going to say is not only
ladies, men,
men and children that goes through it, but we do know our focus is on women today, and we are going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Valerie Davis, who's going to share her story regarding domestic violence. So thank you for tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, the Boss Lady, and this is my co-host, Vicky the Diva, and we will be back with Valerie Davis. are tuning in to Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, the Boss Lady, and I have my co-host here,
Vicky the Diva.
the Diva, and we have our guest today, Valerie Davis, who's going to share her story regarding domestic violence. Welcome.
I'm going to say that Valerie is a friend of mine. We attended the same high school together, so we are Von Steuben alumni family here.
All
Come
right.
on. Hey.
Well, once again, I do want to say thank you for coming in and taking out time to spend with us in the den to share your story. It's not easy to talk about, things that happen in your personal life that is considered not positive and that has caused you more harm than anything. And I'm sure your family and your children. But thanks again for coming in. So
Yes, we appreciate you.
we do. So Valerie, can you share with us exactly when it all started?
I think that when I look back, it started as a child. I grew up in a house, two working parents, which on that block that I lived on was very rare. But my father was the sole breadwinner, and my mother, she was a nurse, but she drank. There would be times he would come in, he would hit her. You just thought it was okay. You went to your room. It was we're going in our house, stay in our house. And as you got older, or as I got older, there was a 10-year gap between me and the other three.
Okay.
So they were all gone. So when I got married, little things would happen, like with financial, you never really knew how much money we had. A little hit here and there that wasn't, loving, and it was like, okay, I don't know if that's okay or not. But then I think about the things that I saw with my parents, and it was like, okay, so 13 years of this, and then three kids later, you're thinking something's not right. I haven't seen my mother in 4 years. I can't go around my family. Nobody wants him around. He goes out, he has a social life, whole nother life I don't know anything about, casket sharp all the time. And it's like, no. So I think it took for us to move, I don't know how many times. I think I probably still got mail catching up to me from 10 years ago.
Wow.
But it's like we moved so many times that the kids couldn't even, develop regular friendships. And I had girls, a boy and two girls. And there were signs, in my son being aggressive, but he was starting to be abusive to the kids, not the baby, but the two older ones. And there would be times where I would take it, like, no, don't hit her, or don't hit him, or just misdirect his anger. And after a while, you get tired. Yeah. He's big. I can hit you, but it's not going to hurt as much as the hits. So this one move, I started working at the Oak Park Y, and he would never hit me in the face. There will always be the hits, and I'm not a bleeder, I'm a bruiser. So the hits will always be where it will be under the clothes. Well, this particular day, we had polos on, and I went to reach for something, and somebody saw a bruise on my arm. That somebody happened to be my husband right now. And he just pulled me to the side and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he didn't say anything else about it. Time went on. The abuse got worse. And still is, don't say anything. We're going to get through this or whatever. And, people tell you to pray. And the pray until something happens is real. Because you have to pray and then you have to finally reach out. The stigma in the Black household has to be eliminated when it comes to domestic violence. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's nothing to be ashamed of. That is, talk about it, because that's the only way somebody's going to be able to help you. You can't read my mind. You saw a bruise. I could have bumped it on the cabinet. He didn't have to say anything, but he could tell in my demeanor that something was off. I just think that my story was more so to end it properly for my girls, to know that it's not okay for someone to hit you, to make you feel less than. and to intimidate you, and make you feel like you're nothing, because it's the total opposite.
And how long were you in the relationship?
We were married for 13 years.
13 years. So you endured it for 13 years?
Hmm. Well, I would say 10.
10 of the
10,
13
10 of
years.
the first three, I'm going to say they weren't all bad. We have 3 children. So they weren't all bad, but majority, yes. And, I just feel like you have to get it out there. You have to talk about it. We see the, domestic violence awareness signs in October, and then you don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
Until somebody, dies from it or something like that, and it's all year round.
Did you get any counseling after this?
I actually went to Cabrini Green Legal Services, and they helped me pay for my divorce. My divorce cost me $3, and that was what I paid to get on the bus to get downtown and to get home. And then they hooked us up with this group, and I can't recall the church, but these 3 ladies, it was a white church. LaSalle Baptist, LaSalle Street Baptist Church. They hooked us up with these 3 ladies from that church, and they came and they helped me set goals for a year. My goals were met before a year. I had planned on being moved. I had planned on having all my children under one roof, because when we got our divorce, my son went with him and the girls came with me. He made sure that in the divorce, it was not emotional abuse put down for the reason. He wanted it to be irreconcilable differences in case someone pulled the divorce records later. Yeah. But so that church helped us, and I seek counseling with that, and just talking about it, even still, because there are things that happen that you may see or hear, or it may be things that me and my husband may talk about now that are still triggers, stuff I still don't want to talk about.
Right.
And I'll talk about it, but then that's it. I don't want to, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
That's understandable. Valerie, at any time did you ever fear for your life, or?
Yes, I had a gun pulled on me. I don't know if it was loaded. I just know I sat still. And when you were saying, like, when they deprive you of food, and that is so real. People think that this stuff is, like, oh, that's white people stuff. It's not. It happens in Black homes, and
we just don't talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing. You could say, you see men and women fighting all the time on the street. But what happens behind that door? You have objects, and it's like anything can become a weapon. And there was an incident where I'm trying to defend myself, and I hit him with a lamp, and I went to jail in Forest Park. But I was happy to go.
Wow.
Because I knew if the police left, there was going to be to be continued to that situation. So I welcomed that. So yeah, it's I feared for my life quite a few times. I just wanted to never make sure that my kids were not in danger, as far as that he would actually kill them or something like that.
So I'm gonna go back. You said that you were in it for 10 years, and the first 3 years was good. What do you feel that was it something that may have triggered it within that time period for him to start, or there were some signs in those first 3 years and you just kind of ignored it?
Yes, we got married young. We got married in 91. My father was still living, and we lived in the basement. So there were some things that weren't going to happen because my daddy was upstairs. So I feel that when my father passed in 93 is when the shift happened. You figure we got married young, you're growing into yourself, I'm growing into myself. Now you're starting to go out. Women are looking at you, and you coming back with this attitude like I'm all that. it was a lot of things. The way he dressed started changing, and just the way the stuff that I think the first time he told me to shut up, I was, what? Shut up. Like, we don't say shut up. But Joe, there was just little things. And once I got moved away from my family, that whole time, it was terrible.
Was it his idea to move away? As we were, when Vicky was going over the statistics or some of the signs, one of the signs it talked about isolation.
Well,
And
it wasn't because we didn't move far. We still lived on the west side, but the isolation, yes. No, your family can't come over here.
No, you said you hadn't seen your mother
For 4 years at one point.
Really?
She had remarried, and I had not saw her.
And that was because of what was going on?
Well, he didn't like her husband, so that means we couldn't go over there.
Or is that more so the excuse that was used to keep you away from the family?
Exactly.
Same thing as far as friends and things of that sort.
And me and my sister were so close, and we're close now. But I couldn't go to her wedding because she had made a wedding list, and we were on the list. And then the guests were like, "We don't want him there." So she called me to rescind his invitation. So of course I couldn't go. So I had to miss that. And I introduced them. So that was very hurtful. But yeah, it was total isolation from my family.
What about economics? When we talked about economics, like there was, I mean, did you work, not work?
I worked. He never really worked, but you couldn't tell. You got on $1,300 gator boots, but the rent due, which is why we moved a lot. You would rather go buy these boots, and now we got to move because you didn't pay the rent, or it hasn't been paid for a couple months, which I wouldn't know until you get the eviction notice. Now here we go packing up again. So yeah, there was a lot of economic abuse, and I think the economic abuse came from his background of not coming from, like a stable household that had money. So it was like when he had money, he didn't know what to do with it. So that part, I think that's where the economic part went, and it got tiring, moving, registering kids, school, that stuff got old.
Yeah, 10 years of it, that's a long time. What about in regards to your children? You said you have 3 girls and
two girls
and a boy. So in regards to how they feel, have they had any counseling, or has there been discussion at home about the situation, and is there any form of discussion, or have you seeked out counseling for the children?
My son is married. He has 2 children. He lives in Champaign, and we're very close. We've had our ups and downs, but with him and his marriage and getting married young, and when I would see signs of his father, I would check it. No, you don't put your hands on her. You don't allow him to put his hands on you. Call the police. I would just be blunt with it. Yes, that's my son, but you have children. And as far as my girls, my youngest, my middle daughter, she has been in violent relationships, and I would always try to bring her back to what she saw, because I never could understand, like, you saw this, why? And I think that we look to, as women, like to try to save our men, or be that mother to
a grown man.
Yes, and we cannot. You cannot fix him. And I try to stress that. Now, my youngest daughter, I feel like, because she wasn't directly, hit or right, and he didn't really, put his hands on her. She was kind of shielded from that. I don't really know if it affects her. We talk about it, because I'll talk about this all day. If you allow me, I would, because it's like, I think that the parts that you don't talk about might be the part that somebody needed, but we talk all the time. So I don't feel like it. I think that she knows that she wouldn't allow, in a relationship.
And you talking about it, do you feel that it helps with your own personal healing in a sense as well? We talked about when we were at break, you brought up as we were going down a list here, you talked about the spiritual side of that as well. So share your thoughts on that.
When I look back on the whole like spiritual abuse, I grew up in a Lutheran church, which was kind of rare, but it was on the west side. And I mean, I was raised in this church. The children were baptized in this church, and in a Lutheran church, they just sprinkled the water. Well, after my father passed, I don't like that. They need to be dunked. And I was like, well, this is how we do it. We raised our children in this church. And he started to go, where he wanted to be Baptist or whatever. Well, I always put Lutheran for a medical, whatever. And then when I look now, he's prominent, I guess, in a church with that he tried to push, on me. But I mean, growing up in that church and being raised in that church, that was something that wasn't going to happen. You weren't going to change me from being Lutheran. That's all I knew. That's all my children knew. Now, getting older, yes, we thought about other, denominations. But when I look back now, I could see where he did try that button.
Mm-hmm. And, I never thought about being robbed spiritually. Like she's saying, someone coming in trying to just take away what you believe in and make you believe in something that they want you to believe in.
Once again, it's when you go over the list of the statistics, and it's all about control. So whichever way that an individual can find ways to control you, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whether it's spiritually, they're going to seek it, whatever to break you to keep that control over you. Agree? Disagree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yes.
If you could say one thing to our listeners and our viewers about domestic violence and learning the signs and whatnot, what would you say to a young lady who could possibly be going through this right now?
The first time an individual puts their hands on you in a non-loving way should be the last. And a lot of people think that, well, people fight. Love is not supposed to hurt.
True.
Because it's going to always be, I'm sorry. They're going to always be remorseful the next day, especially if there are bruises, blood, or whatever signs of it the next day. They're always going to be remorseful. Tomorrow never comes. Get it done. Go talk to somebody. I mean, just somebody. And I'm not going to say, like, talk to a girlfriend, because they'll be like, girl, stuff happened. He okay. He said he's sorry. No, I would say talk to, if it's a young person, talk to an adult. You may be able to talk to your mother. If not, talk to a school counselor. If you're in church, reach out to someone in your church. There's going to always be someone. And there are numbers. I don't have them, but there are phone numbers that you can reach out to, for people to talk to.
One more question from me. Have you forgiven him?
No. And that's why I'm stuck.
Yes. Yes. I'm not a therapist or anything, but I do believe that in order to really become Valerie Davis, Valerie is going to have to.
I own it.
Forgive it. not forget it, but forgive it and move on. Because not forgiving is gonna.
Because it has me.
It gives
stuck.
him power.
It does.
Still gives him power.
And it has me stuck, and it takes away from my husband.
Yes.
I know.
Okay.
I'm still a work in progress.
That's okay. And that probably is a hard pill to swallow. Yes. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, forget that man. But
especially after someone has done this to you for 10 years. I know a young lady mature woman who just recently passed, and we have had the opportunity to have many conversations in regards to it. Her and her husband got married very young. She was 18 years old. They was from Mississippi, moved here to Illinois, and she was very dark skinned woman, and she'll tell you in a minute, I'm not the most beautiful one. And she ended up with a very, as they call, high yellow, light skinned, tall young man who she married and fell in love with. And the thing was, she thought she was so ugly. And she thought that, oh, I have this great handsome man and why he chose me, not knowing that he was going to abuse her. Not, you said 10 years. She was in an abusive relationship for 22 years.
Jesus.
22 years because she believed in marriage, she believed in vows, she believed that she was not beautiful enough, and that this man, quote unquote, was so handsome and that no one else would want her. And that's exactly how he made her feel, you know, in regards to that abuse and the emotional and breaking her down. But for 22 years, and the story she would tell me of how he would just come home and beat her, as you said, going dressing differently, going out with different women, and so on and so forth. And then one day she got tired. After 22 years, though, she got tired, and she had to shoot him in order to get away from him and to take her kids. And it's sad it has to get to that, or even the fact that some women don't make it out alive. So when you're in that and the signs are there, the best thing is to try to get out of that situation as soon as you possibly can and get the help you need for yourself, for your family, for your children, so on and so forth. And I'm glad to hear, as far as how you would address the situation with your children, and also address the situation with your son right away when you notice those signs. Because, you know, growing up in a household, just like even yourself, I would say probably the fact that you saw that with between your parents, that you kind of thought, well, my parents did it, it's okay, it's normal, when actually it's not normal.
Yes, exactly.
So one of the things that I definitely want to, like I said, I want to, you know, thank you again for taking out the time to be on the show and to share your story. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up the show today?
Well, that was just one agency. I was just thinking when you were talking, Sarah's Inn, that we reached out to, and it was like almost just like a getaway, you know, because you were with other women and people who were going through the same thing. Your kids were able to play, and you know, you couldn't say, you know, where they were, and they helped you know, me and my children, you know, move and get settled. Because, you know, you have to think during this whole time, especially towards the end, there were restraining orders, there were orders of protection. I mean, it really got ugly because you're not going to leave, you know. And I had to stand firm on that one. When I did finally get the nerve, I couldn't go back. I owed it to my children and to myself. I feel like, you know, everybody deserves, every woman and man deserves a happily ever after. And I had to get that. And that's why I love.
And the good thing is that you understood that, and then at the same time that you were able to get out safely and still alive to breathe, to share your story, which can be helpful for someone else, and also help heal yourself and heal your family. Vicky?
Yes. I just wanted to thank you also for coming out and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And we cannot leave here without giving you know, somewhere where these women or men can call if they are ever found in a domestic violence situation. And that's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's staffed 24 hours a day by trained counselors who can provide crisis assistance and information about for shelters, legal adversary, and healthcare centers and counseling. 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-7233.
Great. And also, I want to share, if you want to email us or have any questions or need assistance with us giving you resources, you can reach out at
please email us at divas, DIVAS, at divas, DIVAS -inc.org.
And also go and like our pages on Facebook. You got Developing Intellectual Vision and Self. And we also have our Divas Den page as well. So please go out and like those pages as well. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in to the Divas Den on IntellectualRadio.com. And once again, our guest, we thank you, Valerie, for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, because I'm sure you have helped someone today who may be going through the same situation, or at least put something on their minds. So, with that being said,
we want to feed our brains
and get our minds right.